Hi, so for this assignment, we are assigned to teach you on how to make two sample t-tests and chi-square tests based on chapter 5, and our group consists of 4 members. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. So for this learning, get to know what is two sample t-test and chi-square test. The two sample t-test, also known as the independent samples t-test, which is a method used to test whether the unknown population means of two groups are equal or not, while a chi-square test for independence compares two variables in contingency table to see if they are related. In a more general sense, it tests to see whether distribution of categorical variables differ from each another.
Okay, so for this part, I would like to explain about the data that we use for this group assignment project. So let's check it out.
So here is the full data that we all have created and used to answer the question in chapter 5. This data shows the survey on fast food restaurant preference by 50 students of UiTM campus Pasir Gudang in Johor by gender. For the first column, it shows the number of customer or students, which total 50 students. The next column is gender of the student, which is male and female. Next column is the type of fast food restaurant near to the UiTM campus Pasir Gudang Johor, which is McDonald's, KFC, and Subway. For the fourth column is eating occasions, whereas students eat fast food during breakfast, lunch, or dinner. On the sixth column shows that the frequency on student eating fast food either few times a week, weekly, or monthly. For the last column is customer service rating from 1 to 5 by the student's preference on the type of fast food restaurant.
Okay, so from the data, my friends will show to you all on how to answer and step on doing two sample t-tests and chi-square. We move on to the next part.
In the next video, I will show you the tutorial on how to find chi-square, starting from step 1 until step 5. So let's start. So today I will explain on how to find chi-square. So the data that we will use to conduct the chi-square is a survey on fast food restaurant preference by 50 students of UiTM campus Pasir Gudang by gender. However, to conduct the chi-square, we will conduct based on this question, which is analyze whether gender and type of food are related. So the step 1 to find chi-square is type in the hypothesis. In this method, hypothesis consists of two, which is HO and H1. So HO hypothesis is gender and type of food are not related. The hypothesis of one is gender and type of food are related. So these are the step 1. We will have to type in the hypothesis, whether to answer the question, to investigate whether the hypothesis, which of the hypothesis is true. But on this one method is we will use the method of chi-square. Okay, let's further to step 2. Step 2 is a level of significance. This one is actually a formula. We have to type in the formula that we will use in another step. Level of significance is 0.95. This is a fixed value of level of significance, and the next value is sigma, which is the value is 0.05. So moving on to step 3 is step 3 consists of observed frequency, expected frequency, and chi-square. So all this method is actually a way to find a chi-square, which is to find the findings of uh, the methods of whether the hypothesis is reject or fail to reject. But first, to conduct the observed frequency is actually basically extract all this data in a simple table. To simply extract all this data into a simple table, we will use pivot table. So these are the pivot table that I have made. As I said before, pivot table is actually extract data, all this data in a simple table. However, this one is a method. This one shows is a pivot table, but I will show you another simple table. So here are the simple table that I have made. So like I said before, basically this one is observed frequency and extract data, all this data in a simple table. It is called observed frequency. And then another step is expected frequency. It's actually kind of same table, but with a different value. So to find the value, the formula would be this grand total multiplied by this grand total of KFC, because we in the column of FC, and then divided by the all of the total of the respondent, and then click enter. There we get the value. To find this one is also the same, but in order for they use the same formula, but with the grand total of this one, because it is a male one, and then multiply by all the grand total of KFC, and then again divided by all the total of the number of respondents, which is 50, and then click enter. This is the answer for this expected frequency. Again the same method, multiply this one, and then divide by 50. This is the answer. And then same goes to all the others. So these are the data that I have got after all the calculation of the formula of this, the grand total of for a female, and multiply by the grand total of the KFC, and then divided by the overall of the number, which is 50, the number of respondents, and I got the answer. All this. Okay, all this table will be using to find the table of chi-square. Again, to conduct all this is the same as all this one. So I have pasted all this. The table for chi-square is the same. Inquiries of gender, the rows and the columns are the same as the values inside it. So here, how to find the chi-square value. The formula that I use is observed frequency minus expected frequency, and then close bracket, square divided by expected frequency. So these are the answers to find the chi-square. Again, I open bracket, and then the formula is actually observed frequency minus by expected frequency, and then square because it is chi-square, and then divided by the expected frequency again. So I will show you again. I will show it to you again. Observed frequency minus expected frequency, close bracket, square, divided by expected frequency. Enter, and these are the answer. But since the number is a lot, so I would like to use 2 decimal places only. I will click here, decrease until it become 2 decimal places. Same goes to this. So these are the answer that I got. So based on all of this is the same, except the expected frequency is on certain. For example, this one is McDonald at the female, so the expected frequency we have to minus observed frequency of the McDonald's female, and then minus by expected frequency of McDonald females also, and then square. After that, we divided by expected frequency of the McDonald females again. So that is the formula of the chi-square. Again, I will show it to you again. So observed frequency minus by expected frequency of McDonald females, close bracket, square, then divided by the expected frequency of McDonald's female. Then click enter. So these are the answers. Same goes to all the others. So I have calculated all the chi-square values using the previous similar formula, which is observed frequency minus expected frequency square, and then divided by expected frequency. So these are all the values that I got, and these are the grand total of the overall based on their rows, and then this is the total for the sum up of these both. Okay, so we move on to the next step, which is step 4. Step 4 is actually step 4 is a decision making step, which means we have to use TV approach, which is a critical value, and then p-value approach. So to find all this, we need to find all this to make decision whether it is failed to reject or the hypothesis can be rejected. Okay, to actually in this method, chi-square method, they don't provide the direct list of a CV approach and p-value approach. I mean, they did not provide the value of critical value and the p-value directly. So to find the critical value first, we have to use the formula of degree of freedom. Degree of, also known as DF, degree of freedom, the formula would be R minus 1. R is the row, and then multiply by C minus 1. The row is the number of the row that we have right now, which is female, which is the female and male. So these 2 minus by 1 equal to 1, and then multiply the C minus 1. We have 3 columns. C stand for columns, so we have 3 columns minus 1, we get 2, and then the answer is 2. So the degree of freedom is 2. And next we find the C, the critical value, which is also known as CV. The formula that we use in this is chi-square dot inv dot rt, and then in the bracket, the probability stands for the value. You can put the value of sigma here. This is already the fixed value, so it is 0.05, 0.05, and then the degree of freedom, which is 2 here, and then click, and then we get this. As usual, we put it in 2 decimal places. So these are the critical value, and to use the method of CV approach, which the CV approach is x square is more than CV value. If so, to compare, so the chi-square value is 1.37. It is less than critical value that we have right now, 5.99, which actually means we fail to reject the HO hypothesis O. Fail to reject HO. So these are the results that we got based on our CV approach. This will be used in for conclusion. However, we need to find the p-value approach before moving to conclusion. So moving on to p-value approach. The p-value is actually to find p-value. Right now we don't have a p-value directly given to us. However, we need to find it out ourselves. So the formula of p-value would be chi-square dot test, and then in the bracket the actual range is observed frequency. You select all these, and then comma, expected range would be expected frequency, and you click enter. We get this p-value. To study whether this p-value would be fail or fail to reject HO or can reject HO, we have to investigate by the p-value is less than sigma to be able to reject the HO. However, right now we have this, we can actually just take 2 decimal places, 0.50, which is more than sigma. What is sigma? Sigma is this one. This value is 0.05. So 0.05. This means right now we have p-value is more than sigma, which means we cannot reject the HO. So the answer is fail to reject HO. So we move on to step 5, which is the final step, and it is a conclusion step. We can conclude now whether we can actually reject the HO or accept the H1, which means we can reject the hypothesis 0, hypothesis O, or hypothesis 1. However, after all the calculation, we have managed and found that we failed to reject HO, the hypothesis O, which means we need to accept the hypothesis O. Based on the evidence, this is the conclusion that we have come to. Based on the evidence, gender and type of fast food are not related, because the conclusion is what we have come with the hypothesis HO. So I think that's all on how to find the calculation based on chi-square method. We have come to the conclusion, and we have found that hypothesis O HO is failed to reject, and it is actually the finding would be gender and type of food are not related. So I think that's all from me, and again, thank you.
Today I will like to show you how to calculate the t-test to sample assuming unequal variances. Okay,
Here the data that I got on the survey, and this survey based on the fast food restaurant preferences by 50 students of UiTM campus Pasir Gudang by gender. And okay, next you have to read the question, and the question on two sample t-test is: there's a hypothesis that KFC is get higher preference than Subway in customer service rating. So you have to do first, you have to do click here and add filter. This is because of, if you can see here, there are three actually fast food restaurant: McD, KFC, and Subway. But on that question, you only one have to do is two fast food restaurant for the hypothesis, which is KFC and Subway. So you have to click the KFC to get the data KFC like this, and you just only have to copy and paste right here. And you have to copy customer service rating because we want to calculate this. Is it true or false? And next, you have to do for the Subway company. Oh, sorry, Subway. It's super easy. For the like I said before, there are only 5 steps, and the first one you have to do is hypothesis. Step 1, hypothesis. He should equal to KFC less or more than Subway. You have to insert this symbol, less than or equal to Subway. H1 equal to Subway more than KFC. So I highlight here so you can see this step. Okay, for the step 2 is level of significance. The stigma is 0.05, so obviously the balance is 0.95, and the sigma is 0.05. Actually, this is alpha. Okay, here is step 3. Step 3 is data analysis. What you have to do here, that you have to go at this data. As you can see here, data, click data, and you can see here the data analysis. Click, and this will pop up. After this pop out, you have to choose t-test to sample assuming unequal variances here. Then you have to click OK. Variable 1 is KFC and variable 2 is Subway. So you have to click this customer service rating for KFC and Subway. Hypothesis mean difference is 0. There are no labels because I didn't highlight the labels, so you don't have to tick this. If you highlight the labels, you have to tick this label. Output range, I want to, the data will be here, and you have to click OK. Wow, this will show, the answer will pop out. Okay, like I said before, variable 1 is actually KFC and variable 2 is Subway. So here the answer, mean, variance, observation, hypothesis mean 0, TF. So I do highlight here. It's done for the step 3. So now you have 2 steps more to go. And for the step 4, decision making. You have only used one tail actually. It's very small. So I would like to highlight here. Easy for you to focus at that number, and you can see like where you have to take the number to calculate at this decision making session. First one, in decision making you have 2 approach that you have to calculate. First one is critical value approach, and second one is p-value approach. So here we calculate critical first. You have to take t statistic, either it bigger or lesser than CV. CV is t critical one tail. So 1.84 are bigger than CV. CV is t critical one tail, like 1.77. So these statistics are bigger than CV. So within the rejection region, you have to reject HO. Why you have to reject HO here, I will show you. If the statistics are bigger than CV, you have to reject HO. But if the statistics are lesser, oh my god, what happened? Are lesser than CV, the answer is fail to reject HO. So that's why 1.84 are bigger than CV, 1.77. So you have to reject HO. Second one, you have to calculate p-value approach. P-value approach, you have to calculate the sigma more than p-value. Where you want to know p-value is here. You can see here p one tail. That is p-value. So sigma, like I said before, is 0.05 bigger than 0.04. Sigma bigger than p-value. And if you want to know, is it fail to reject HO or reject HO, you have to do like this. P-value, p-value are bigger than sigma. Then fail reject HO. But if p-value are lesser than sigma, obviously you have to reject HO. So sigma more than p-value is equal to p-value less than sigma. The answer is reject HO. So I will highlight here. Oh, I would like to do some border because more proper. Okay, the last step. Step 5 is conclusion. You just only have to do a simple conclusion. Based on these two decision making, reject critical value, reject HO, p-value also reject HO. So obviously there is sufficient evidence that KFC is higher statistically than Subway. Their answer is, there is sufficient evidence to suggest that KFC is higher preferences than Subway in the customer rating service. So that's all.